Okay, now back to those drone sightings, which continue to spark concerns across the country, with more videos being posted every night.
Yeah, they've become such a problem. They've even started shutting down an airport. KTLA's Gene Kang is live for us with the latest. Good morning, Gene. What's the news here?
Hey, good morning, Megan and Lauren. A lot of folks are reporting these issues. They're seeing these drones at night or early in the morning when the sun is not even up. Now, we got some new video from a viewer here at KTLA. However, this is causing some big problems on the East Coast, even shutting down a runway at New York's Stewart Airport. Well, this is a very big issue.
Moving lights. Okay, we love it. So what is this? Just hanging out.
So this new video from KTLA viewer Sharon shows what appears to be a drone over the San Fernando Gardens community. That was at 4 o'clock this morning when she sent that over to our newsroom, with multiple other sightings across our part of the country. A TikTok user captured video of possibly 5 drones in Riverside. They've been spotted in Temecula as well earlier this week. So exactly what's going on? Temecula is near Camp Pendleton, a military base, but the Marines say they're not involved. Riverside County Sheriff, well, he suggests the drones could be from Southern California Edison, which inspects power lines with drones. However, the utility company says they don't fly drones at night.
All right, guys, so we got to continue our coverage of the mysterious drone sightings that are happening all over the country. It's not just New Jersey anymore, but we're talking about the whole Northeast corridor. You have some reported sightings in California. It's happening all across the country, all across the world. And a lot of people are left wondering what the hell is going on with our government. Why is it that our government doesn't have anything of significance to say about this issue, right? They're saying that, hey, it's not us. We don't think it's a foreign adversary. We don't know who it is, but hey, we think that it's safe, right? We don't think it poses a threat to the public, even though these things are flying around in restricted airspace with impunity, right? They're flying around in places like, for example, military bases. Also, they're flying around airports, okay, which is a big no. However, they're being allowed to do that to the point where a New York airport had to shut down over one of these mysterious drones flying near the runway. Take a look.
More drone sightings force a local airport to shut down, the mounting frustration over the mystery in the sky. Good evening. I'm Jessica Moore. The number of drone sightings across the tri-state area has been growing over the last 2 weeks, with more than 3,000 reports in New Jersey alone. And with no indication the sightings are coming to an end, local and state officials are becoming increasingly impatient for answers. As Alicia Reed explains, they also want authorities to destroy any drones that may be considered a threat.
It's smooth sailing at New York Stewart International Airport Saturday night, unlike the nearly hour-long delay the evening prior after a drone in the airspace stopped all flights.
It's always a nuisance.
Drones have been spotted throughout the tri-state since mid-November. The FBI says they've received about 5,000 leads since then.
It's not good.
Only about 100 have led to action by the FBI. In a statement, Governor Kathy Hochul says in part, this has gone too far. She's calling on Congress to pass a bill that will strengthen the FAA's oversight of drones and give select state and local law enforcement agencies the right to detect, track, or even destroy unmanned aircraft systems, or UAS. New Jersey Congressman Chris Smith plans to introduce legislation that would authorize training for state police across the country to track and take down drones.
State police, probably a designated unit could be established, have real experts.
Over 50 local, state, and federal partners have engaged in the investigation, including the FBI, DHS, and FAA. A rep from the Department of Homeland Security says they're confident many of the sightings are manned aircrafts that are being misidentified as drones. The FAA says it is legal to fly a drone during the day or at night, as long as it's below 400 feet and isn't causing a hazard. But restricting airspace is a problem, and that happened here.
Yeah, so you see that, you heard that. Apparently these things can just fly around anywhere with impunity, right? And there's nothing at all that we would do about it. Even if they are shutting down airports because they are restricting airspace that is used to take off, right? That planes need in order to safely take off and land. You know what? we don't care, right? The Biden administration doesn't care. They continue to come out and to gaslight the American people and to say that, hey, this is not a problem. This is not anything to worry about. They won't say they got it under control, but what they will say is that, well, at the end of the day, you really shouldn't be that concerned about it, right? Just trust Alejandro Mayorkas, the same guy who claimed that the border was closed, and George Stephanopoulos, who is the same guy that just basically settled a lawsuit where he defamed the former president. These are the people that we should trust, right, with being informed about what the hell is going on.
Let's bring in Homeland Security Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas. Mr. Secretary, thank you for joining us this morning. Can you clear up the confusion here?
Absolutely, George, and thank you very much for having me. There's no question that people are seeing drones, and I want to assure the American public that we in the federal government have deployed additional resources, personnel, technology to assist the New Jersey State Police in addressing the drone sightings. Some of those drone sightings are, in fact, drones. Some are manned aircraft that are commonly mistaken for drones, and we do see duplicative reporting. But there's no question that drones are being sighted. Let me set the record straight here, George. There are thousands of drones flown every day in the United States. Recreational drones, commercial drones. That is the reality. And in September of 2023, the Federal Aviation Administration, the FAA, changed the rules so that drones could fly at night. And that may be one of the reasons why now people are seeing more drones than they did before, especially from dawn to dusk. And so that is the reality. But I want to assure the American public that we are on it. We are working in close coordination with state and local authorities. And it is critical, as we all have said for a number of years, that we need from Congress additional authorities to address the drone situation. Our authorities currently are limited, and they are set to expire. We need them extended and expanded.
What exactly do you need?
We want state and local authorities to also have the ability to counter drone activity under federal supervision. That is one important element that we have requested, and we've heard it echoed by the state and local officials themselves.
Yeah, so you've seen that, you heard that. I find that explanation to be fascinating. He's saying, well, the reason why you're seeing more of these drones is because of a change in rules that allows for drones to fly at night. Now, that, again, doesn't explain why they're flying around restricted airspace, flying near airports, flying in ways that are dangerous to other aircraft and potentially people. No, that doesn't really explain that. But he's saying that, again, people are seeing more drones because of a rule change, right? But at the end, what he said there, I thought was extremely fascinating, because essentially what he's asking for is more power and authority from Congress, which could be what this is all about. It could be about more power, more funding, more control for the government, right? Which I personally believe that that's most likely what's going on here. Okay, you create some type of perceived threat. You allow for mass outrage, mass panic, mass chaos. As a result, people get scared, and then they give more power to the government. That, to me, seems to be the end goal, right? And they're coming around and kind of saying exactly what they want here, okay? And we'll see what happens. But there are people out here who are coming out with some explanations that may make some sense in regards to what these drones may or may not be doing. Like, for example, this drone manufacturer, he went on social media and he claimed that the drones could be trying to smell nuclear waste or activities on the ground. Take a look.
Hey everyone, my name is John Ferguson. I'm the CEO of Saxon Aerospace here in Wichita, Kansas. I'm not normally a TikTok kind of a guy. I like watching this stuff every once in a while. But I'm a manufacturer of unmanned aircraft, military grade unmanned aircraft, as you can see one of my systems here. There's all of these mysterious drones going on off the East Coast, and as a professional, as a subject matter expert, I wanted to give you all my opinion on what I think could be going on with these drones. I don't particularly believe that these have a nefarious intent. I could be wrong. Back in the 1980s, Ronald Reagan had dismantled the nuclear program, and there were, with Russia, there were countless nuclear missiles that were disarmed and disposed of. Well, there were over 80, I believe. There were over 80 nuclear warheads that were in Ukraine that came up missing. Okay? We don't know where they are. Maybe somebody does, but nobody really knows where these are. And I speak with some pretty high-level government officials on this stuff, and it seems as though that is the case. So I spoke to a gentleman a few months ago who was trying to raise an alarm to the highest levels of our government, which they had their ears closed, about this one particular nuclear warhead that he physically put his hands on. He physically touched this warhead that was left over from Ukraine. And he knew that that thing was headed towards the United States. Okay? That is a very serious deal. And everyone knows that the United States government, this administration, is pushing to get into a war with Russia. We all know that. We all feel it. We all see it. Okay? Well, back up a few years. Do y'all remember when those drones were mysteriously flying across the Interstate 70 corridor from Colorado up into Nebraska, down here into Kansas, and out into Missouri? Well, it was believed that those drones were looking for radioactive material because there had been some material that came up missing here in the United States, and they felt like it was high probability that the nuclear or the radioactive material would be taken along the Interstate 70 corridor heading east or west or south. So from what we understand, they were out there trying to find this radioactive material. Now, drones, they have no reason to be in the air at night unless you're doing some type of ISR work, intelligence, surveillance, reconnaissance, looking for bad guys, or looking for a victim, a search and rescue victim, or law enforcement, or some type of military project, right? There's no reason for a drone to be flying at night, really, okay? Because they don't see shit. So, unless you have thermal optics, drones really don't see stuff. You need to do mapping during the day. If you're going to do farming stuff, you mostly do it during the day. The only reason why you would ever fly an aircraft, an unmanned aircraft at night, is if you're looking for something, whether it be a person or trying to smell gas. With this gentleman that I had spoken with, who was trying to raise the alarm to try to get somebody in the government to say, hey, we need to work together to go try to find this nuclear warhead, none of that ever happened. They knew that warhead was on its way to the United States. That's all that ever came of it. Nothing ever happened. This government did not do anything at all to help this gentleman raise the alarm and raise awareness that there is a very deadly weapon on its way to the United States. It's out there. Nobody knows where it's at now. It left Europe. Now it's gone. So my guess, my own guess, is that these drones are not nefarious in intent. If they are, they are, but I doubt it. But if they are drones, the only reason why they would be flying and flying that low is because they're trying to smell something on the ground. That's it. There's no other reason for a drone to be flying in the air other than to piss a bunch of people off at night.
Yeah, so I'm not entirely sure if that man's explanation is correct, but his explanation would explain why the government would want to be so secretive about it, because if they are flying around in restricted airspace and basically doing whatever they want. And you are allowing this mass panic and outrage. Well, the reason why the government wouldn't want to explain what they're doing is because if they explain what they're doing, if they tell the truth, then that's going to cause even more panic and outrage, right? So if they tell the American people that, hey, these drones are looking for lost nukes, right? There may be a nuke in the vicinity, that will cause people to lose their minds, right? That would cause massive panic if they were upfront about what these drones actually are looking for, which, again, according to this guy, it seems as if they're looking for something. I don't know. I don't know what he's saying is true. I'm just saying that at this point, it seems like we have, journalists and people on the internet and others doing something that the government is not doing, which is giving us some type of explanation for what's happening here. The government's not saying anything at all, and it's pissing off a whole lot of people, including people like Christie, who has been subject to funny memes from Trump, in which Trump put out an explanation for these drones, which is that Christie is calling the drones to his house to deliver him fast food, right? To deliver him some McDonald's. And it just so happens that Christie came out and talked about how there was, in fact, drones over his house. I'm not sure if he was calling him in for fast food, but he's concerned, right? He's concerned about these drones. So let's get into it.
New Jersey Governor Chris, welcome back.
Thank you, George.
To this week. You're a New Jersey resident. Have you seen any drones?
Yeah. 2 mornings ago, over my house at 6:15 in the morning. Saw them myself, so did my wife. And so, yeah, they're there. And I've been traveling around New Jersey as I normally do all week. And I can't tell you the number of people who've come up to me concerned about it. And that's
But is this a mass hysteria of some sort?
Well, here's why, George. Because of answers like the secretary just gave. They're not answering the questions.
Well, he said they're monitoring it. They haven't seen any unusual activity, and they need more authority.
Let me tell you something. I agree that they need more authority. But to not say that this is not unusual activity, it's just wrong. I lived in New Jersey my whole life. This is the first time that I've noticed drones over my house. And I was in a restaurant in Monmouth County on Friday night, had people at the bar coming up to me and saying, Governor Murphy won't tell me anything. The president won't tell me anything. Do you know? Like, well, I don't know, but I will tell you this. I think this is what happens in our society now, George, because we're used to having things so rapidly. If you don't fill that vacuum, then all the conspiracy theories get filled in there. So you've got people like Congressman Jeff Van Drew saying there's an Iranian mothership off the coast of New Jersey.
True.
Absolutely not true. And provably now not true. And he's had to back off that. You can't have conspiracy theorists filling the space. But the Biden administration and state authorities have to be more vocal and let people know exactly what they're doing. This interview this morning was a bit of a better step, but I think much too little too late. And when people see this kind of activity, it's a newish technology to most people, and they're worried about it and concerned. And to the extent they're following things around the world, they hear about drones being deployed in Ukraine all the time as weapons. And us deploying drones as weapons at times. So you can see why people are concerned, and it's a lack of communication from the government at the federal and state level that's at fault here.
Yeah, I think everybody's pissed, right? I think everybody is pissed because it seems as if the adults in charge are clueless, right? They have no idea what's going on, and it makes us look weak. Honestly, it makes it seem like any country could just fly around in our airspace and we wouldn't give a damn, right? I mean, they could quite literally drop a nuke on some small town in America, and the United States government wouldn't have an explanation for why it was allowed to happen. Well, we don't know. We don't know. We don't know exactly how it got there or why it was allowed to fly over American airspace. It's bad, right? It really is bad, okay? And yeah, I mean, when you got politicians that are clueless, right, on the ground, local officials, law enforcement, again, it's just going to create more panic and outrage the longer that this goes on.
You don't think it's this kind of thing where once people become focused on it, they naturally see things that they wouldn't necessarily paid attention to in the past?
I think that there's some of that, but I can tell you from the activity, I mean, look, I'm not a conspiracy theorist, and I'm not looking for things I don't need. At 6:15 yesterday morning, or 2 mornings ago, that was a drone over my house. And I've never seen anything like that before, and I've been living at that house for 30 years.
So if you were governor right now, what kind of authority would you want to have?
I'd want our state police to be able to have the authority to bring those drones down and find out why they're doing what they're doing. And of course, we'd have to coordinate with the FAA, but we do that kind of coordination both when I was U.S. attorney, as a law enforcement officer, and as governor all the time to be able to have shared authority. But the states do not have enough authority now to do what they need to do. And what we're going to find, George, is you're going to have individuals acting as drone vigilantes, and they're going to start taking them down. That's not what we want, because they're now an important part of commerce, and law enforcement uses them frequently for surveillance and other things. We need to be able to...
Yeah, so you seen that, you heard that, okay? Christie, you know, coming out and saying that, yes, a drone has been flying over his house. Now, who knows if the drone is dropping off snacks to Christie in the middle of the night. I don't know. But again, it just shows the frustration is building, right, with the Biden administration. He's going to have to come out here as president and say something, right? He's going to have to, because, again, if this thing continues to get worse, and again, we talk about potentially thousands of these things. If it continues to get worse, something's going to have to give, right? Something's going to have to give. And all I know is that situations like this is why you want a strong leader in office, right? This is why you want somebody like President Trump in office, because this right here shows me that if we were actually being invaded by some foreign adversary, we'd be clueless, right? The United States, our leadership is so clueless. We have no idea what would happen, what we would do. I don't feel comfortable. I really don't. As an American citizen, I do not feel comfortable knowing that we would have an inadequate response to a foreign invasion if some country was to try to invade the United States via air. If this is the response, right, if this is how we handle it, we're in deep trouble, right? We cannot get Biden out of there soon enough. Again, where's Kamala? Where's Kamala as well, too? It's funny to me how the woman that wanted to be leader of this country is showing us that she wasn't really cut out for leadership. Where has she been since the election? She's been gone, missing action, which I think basically defines most of the Biden administration. So let me know what you guys think. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Most importantly, share a Black conservative perspective. Peace.